You can't go anywhere in healthcare right now without hearing about AI, right? It's on everyone's lips. But there's this critical first step, this foundational layer that's absolutely essential for both innovation and patient safety, and it's so often overlooked. Today, we're going to talk about that very foundation, data governance.
Okay, let's kick things off with a number that should honestly stop you in your tracks. 97%. That is the staggering amount of vital health data, everything from lab results to clinical notes, that currently goes completely unused. It's just sitting there, locked away in different systems in formats that don't talk to each other. Just take a second and imagine the life-saving insights, the missed opportunities hidden inside that number. It's huge.
So that's the big question, isn't it? We have this absolute ocean of data, and we have this incredibly powerful tool, AI. So what's the missing piece? What's the bridge that can safely connect the two and unlock all that incredible potential? Well, the answer isn't just another shiny new piece of technology. It's about building a framework of trust and, really, of control.
To get to that answer, here's our game plan. We'll start by looking at the true scale of this data goldmine. Then, we'll define what we mean by AI's essential foundation. After that, we'll walk through a really practical, three-level framework, apply it to that critical build versus buy decision, and then wrap up with the key takeaways you can actually use. All right, first up, let's really wrap our heads around the sheer scale of this opportunity. The amount of data being generated in healthcare today, from our smartwatches to our electronic records, is unlike anything we've ever seen in human history. And get this slide shows something that I think is pretty mind-blowing. Healthcare isn't just a major data generator, it is the single largest one in the entire world. It's responsible for 36% of all data created. That is more than finance, more than manufacturing, more than any other industry you can think of. That just shows you the massive potential sitting right there, waiting for us. Okay, so we've got all this data. The big question is, how do we actually use it safely and ethically? This is where data governance comes in. It's the crucial set of rules and controls that, frankly, makes everything else possible. So what is data governance exactly? Well, the textbook definition is this framework of processes and policies, but for busy clinicians and executives, I want you to think of it like the entire traffic system for your health data. It's not just the speed limits, it's the road signs, the traffic lights, and even the driver's license that says who is qualified to use the data and for what purpose. It's the whole shebang. And look, let's be super clear here. Skipping this step, it's not an option. It's just not. The risks of building AI on a shaky foundation are massive. You open the door to unsafe AI recommendations, to devastating privacy breaches, and a complete loss of trust from both your patients and your clinicians. And in the absolute worst-case scenario, it can lead directly to patient harm. This isn't just some IT policy, it's a fundamental patient safety issue.
So the stakes are incredibly high. We get that. The question then becomes, how do we move from just understanding the risk to actually doing something about it? It can feel a little overwhelming. So let's break it down into a clear, actionable framework with 3 distinct levels. Think of it this way. The strategic level is the why. So for example, the hospital board creates a policy on using anonymized data for research. Then you have the operational level, which is the who and how. That's maybe the ethics committee that reviews a specific research request to make sure it follows that policy. And finally, you have the technical level. That's the what. That's the actual software and workflow that strips the patient's name off the data before it's used. You see, all 3 have to work together perfectly. So when we're talking about that big picture strategic level, it really boils down to these 4 pillars. Data quality is everything, because an AI trained on bad data isn't just useless, it's dangerous. Timely access means a doctor gets the right information at the point of care, not a week later when it's too late. Responsible use is about upholding your ethical standards, and privacy protection, well, that's the absolute bedrock of patient trust. You know, if you ever need that one single idea to guide all your strategic talks, this is it. The electronic medical record is a legal document. As soon as your leadership team starts seeing data, not as abstract ones and zeros, but as a legal and ethical record of care, all those decisions about quality, access, and privacy, they suddenly become crystal clear.
Okay, now let's dive down from the boardroom to the server room, the technical level. I find it's really powerful to think of a patient's data as their unique medical story. But the problem is, it's often a story with missing pages, with chapters written in totally different languages from different systems, and a bunch of scribbled notes in the margins. Your technical governance, that's the master editor. Its job is to piece this fragmented story together into a single, coherent, and true narrative that an AI can safely read.
All right, so we've got this awesome 3-level framework. Let's put it to work on a really practical question that every healthcare leader is facing right now. When it comes to AI, should we build our own solution in-house or should we buy one from a vendor?
But before we even look at the options, we have to get one thing straight. This is a non-negotiable. The buck stops with you. The legal and ethical responsibility for patient data never leaves your organization. You can delegate tasks to a vendor, sure, but you can never, ever outsource the accountability.
This table really lays out the trade-offs through that governance lens. If you build, your own committees have direct strategic control. But operationally, that means you have to hire the data scientist and maintain all the infrastructure. On the other hand, if you buy, your strategic control is now defined by a vendor contract. The operational work is lighter, but technically, you're stuck with their system and its limits. It's that classic choice between control and convenience, and this governance framework is the tool that helps you make that choice wisely.
Phew, we have covered a lot of ground. So let's bring it all home and really focus on the 4 crucial points that you need to take with you on your organization's AI journey.
First, remember that 97%, it's not just a number, it's a massive call to action. Second, AI without governance isn't just risky, it's irresponsible. You have to build the foundation first. Third, this isn't some impossible problem to solve. Use that 3-level framework, strategic, operational, and technical, as your guide. And fourth, and this is the most important one, the responsibility is always yours. Build or buy, you own the outcome, period.
You know, the framework and the ideas we've walked through today aren't just theoretical. This practical, real-world approach comes directly from the work of Dr. Al-Mustafa Buatene. He specializes in translating these really complex ideas into actionable guidance for the clinicians and executives who are on the front lines every day.
So, if what we've talked about today has got you thinking and you're ready to really dig in and go to the next level, then the essential resource is Dr. Buatene's book, Healthcare's AI Revolution, A Clinician's Practical Guide. You can find it right on Amazon, and it is truly an invaluable guide for anyone who's serious about this transformation. Thanks so much for joining me.